Hello, welcome to video number 9. Important lesson this. In this one, I'm going to explain to you a way of improving your coordination to not just the next level, but the next 10 levels after that. It's really cool. If you're still fairly new to the whole reading thing, then also this episode may be where your understanding of reading music just takes a bit of a jump towards light speed, so be excited about it. Let's talk about our first steps towards reading on this instrument. And probably the way it worked was this. You set up a stream of hi-hat notes and we played little bass drum, snare drum stuff underneath that. If we look at an example of a rhythm here, probably what your brain was doing as you played this was you're reading vertically, you're relating everything to this grid of hi-hats. So you'd be saying to yourself, hi-hat and bass drum, hi-hat on its own, hi-hat and snare drum, hi-hat on its own, snare drum in the gap, hi-hat and bass drum, hi-hat and bass drum, hi-hat and snare drum, hi-hat on its own. You'd be reading in this very vertical way. Had you decided to play the clarinet instead, then your first steps in reading would have been kind of different. You'd be worrying more about pitches, note lengths, that kind of thing, and you'd be reading horizontally, not vertically. So it's two slightly different ways of reading. But as drummers, it's really important that we also develop that other way of reading, the horizontal way of reading. If we take a couple of bars of groove, we might get something like this. There, nice little groove, I think you'll agree. However, if we were to take the hi-hat part away, we wouldn't have that grid anymore. Therefore, we would have to read it melodically like a clarinetist would. In fact, if I ask my glamorous assistant, the lovely Tara, she will show you exactly what I mean. So, it would sound something like that. Not very inspiring tune though, let's face it. If I change some of the notes of that to make a slightly catchier tune, you might get something like this. Same rhythm, but using different notes. Take it away, Tara. There, much nicer. Now, did you recognise the tune? If you did, send me the title on an email and I'll send you a little prize. So what happens now is this. We create rhythmic melodies using our vocabulary of 15 16th note combinations. You remember I said I was going to teach you a language? Well, this is where you really start to use those 15 words and create sentences, i.e. musical phrases with them. This particular combination, for instance, sounds like this. Now I'm reading horizontally. I'm playing a tune. Well, actually, I'm singing it in my mind and then I'm playing it by ear, which is the way that really good readers do it. Sorry, guys, your secret is now out. Now, you were probably thinking that this app was supposed to be all about making you into a better drummer, not a better reader. Believe me, it is, and it will, so just hang in there for a minute. The concept behind what I'm about to show you here has gone a long way towards making some of the best drummers on the planet into some of the best drummers on the planet, but reading is a vital ingredient, so sorry that can't be helped. Okay, I've got another piece of paper for you here and it's called Horizontal Reading for Dummies. Actually, I think I'm going to change that. Let's call it Horizontal Reading for Drummies because I don't want to get sued by any publishing companies out there. This time we've got melodies to play. They're pretty boring melodies, I'm afraid, because they're all on one note, but I'm going to call them melodies nonetheless. Each line concentrates on one of the 15 chunks from our vocabulary, and when you play the page with the MP3 file, you very quickly start to link what you see with what you hear, which is exactly what we want to happen. You'll need to print this page out, so go to drumsecrets.com, download the PDF file, print it out, stick it on the music stand. So how do we actually use the page? Well, it's rather like the Backbeats of Doom. You read the page with one limb whilst playing repetitive patterns with the others. Stylistically, this opens everything up completely. You're not locked into playing the snare on 2 and 4 anymore, and more importantly, you're reading horizontally. So let's start with a simple pattern. What I'll do is I'll play 16th notes on the right cymbal and I'll do walkies with my feet and I'll read the melody with my left hand on the snare drum.
So the example I've chosen here is quite a simple one, really. You're familiar with the idea of playing a stream of notes in the right hand, and also you're familiar with the idea of playing walkies in the feet. So this is a pretty good place to start. As you can hear, the melody is carried by the brass section in the backing track as well. So if you get it wrong, that means you're going to be out with the brass section, and that kind of feedback is a really good way of learning how to read this stuff really quickly and efficiently. When you first get started with this method, your main concern should be just to read the rhythms accurately, get the reading sorted out. Keep things really simple. Then, once your reading starts to get more accurate, then you can start using the material for what it's really designed for, which is developing four-way independence with your limbs. Fantastic for your coordination. Okay, here's another approach to the page. If you've ever played the song Birdland by Weather Report, then you'll be familiar with this groove. The snare and the left foot are playing on eighth notes, and the tune this time is in the bass drum. Now, this approach isn't a new way of learning, it's just my slant on things. The book that inspired me to learn this way was a book called New Breed by a guy called Gary Chester, and that's well worth checking out. The potential with this material is only limited really by your imagination. What would it be like if you played the tunes in the left foot? Or could you play it leading left-handed? Or what would it be like if you played the tunes as accents within a 30-second note roll? Loads of possibilities. I'll give you a few in the PDF files, but basically when it all boils down to it, it's when you come up with your own ideas to work on, that's when you'll be developing your own style. You can make things as simple or as complicated as you like, but the braver you are, the greater the prizes will be.